sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening to all. Let us start. We were discussing scalar product yesterday. If you multiply two vectors, two possibilities are there. In one process, by one method, you get a scalar, and in another method, you get a vector. We were discussing the first method yesterday. Second method is vector product. Or another name, cross product. Okay. How is this multiplication done? Let us take two vectors, and by the basic definition, by the basic meaning itself, here we are going to multiply two vectors and the product of these two vectors will also be a vector quantity. This is what the vector product means. Okay, let us take two vectors. This is one vector P. This is another vector Q. Both are making angle theta with each other. Okay. Now, vector product is given as the vector product of P and Q is given as, first of all, how we write it, how we represent it. It is represented as vector P cross vector Q. Vector P cross vector Q. This is not our regular symbol of multiplication, not regular cross symbol. Of course, it is drawn in the same way, but when you read it, you should read it as cross, not into. So vector P cross vector Q is equal to modulus of vector P, that means magnitude of vector P, multiplied by magnitude of vector Q into sine theta. In scalar product, we had cos theta. Here we have sine theta. P dot Q, if you compare this with yesterday's dot product, yesterday it was P dot Q equal to PQ cos theta. Here P
Sir,
Q is PQ sin theta.
sir, I have a doubt from previous class. Shall I ask at the end, sir?
Yes,
Or
at the
no, sir?
end
Okay,
of the
okay, sir.
P cross Q is equal to PQ sin theta. This is how we define vector product or cross product. And as we are using this symbol cross here, that's why it is named as cross product. And as we use the symbol dot here, it is also named as dot product. Okay. So P cross Q, vector P cross vector Q is equal to magnitude of vector P. I will write here. This is magnitude of vector P. This
Sir,
is,
sir, in the yesterday's formula, you did not write the mod symbol, sir.
check it. I think I have written it.
Here, sir.
Okay, that is understood. Even if you don't write, I think I told you earlier also. Even if you don't
Yes.
put a cap over I, it is still the same unit vector. Even if I don't write it in this modulus sign, it in indirectly it ultimately intimates means that it is the magnitude of the vector. So P is this P is magnitude of vector P. This Q is magnitude of vector Q. and this theta, it is angle. Theta is angle between vector P and vector Q. These are the things we have. P cross Q equal to PQ sine theta. Okay. Now, if you take the properties of this, but before that, one more thing, important thing. This PQ sine theta gives you magnitude of the product. Keep in mind, we are multiplying vector P with vector Q, and the product of these two should also be a vector quantity. Vector quantity means it has both magnitude and direction.
Sir,
The product that you get here, it has both magnitude and direction because it is a vector. Magnitude, how much is magnitude? PQ sine theta. But what about direction? Direction is given by, we use a special rule here to find out the direction of that product vector P cross Q. What is it? The direction of P cross Q is given by right hand thumb rule.
sir, your screen and voice are stuck. Sir,
Students, 1 minute.
Okay. So right hand thumb rule says stretch the fingers and thumb of your right hand such that they are perpendicular to each other. This is the first step. Stretch fingers. You mean fingers means all the four fingers except the thumb. All your four fingers must be touching each other, and your thumb must be perpendicular to those four fingers. Right? This is the first step. Then point your fingers along the direction of first vector, and bend them towards the second vector. Bend them towards the second vector. Then now the direction, now the thumb points in the direction of vector product. What is this? How to do this? See, I'll take two vectors. Same two vectors. This is vector P. This is vector Q. Making angle theta with each other. After I multiply these two, I get another vector which has magnitude and direction. Magnitude is PQ is called sine theta. Direction is given by this right hand thumb rule. So to determine the direction, what should I do is, first of all, I will stretch fingers and thumb of my right hand so that they are perpendicular. That means you get a L shape with your fingers and for a thumb, right? It will be like this. This is your thumb. This is your forefinger, middle finger. What is this? Ring finger, and this is your little finger. This is how your hand should be perpendicular. Right hand. Now place your fingers along the direction of first vector. First vector means, what are we trying to do here? We are trying to do P cross Q. We are trying to do P cross Q. Then P will be the first vector. Q is the second vector. Okay, so point your fingers so that they are along the direction of first vector, vector P. Then without bending your thumb must always be perpendicular to your forefingers. Point them along the direction of P and bend them towards the second vector. Towards the second vector means like this. In this direction. Then now your fingers are curled now, but your thumb is straight. The direction in which your thumb is pointing is the direction of the vector product. Okay.
Sir, can you explain once again?
Listen. Do this step by step. Do this step by step. First of all, stretch your forefingers and thumb perpendicular to each other. Then
Sir,
place your fingers along the direction of P. Place your fingers along the direction of P. Bend them towards Q. Tell me in which direction is your thumb pointing.
sir, no matter how much I bend, the thumb is pointed to north only, sir.
How can I know where is
Sir,
your
to
north?
the top,
Right?
sir.
No. See, these two vectors, P and Q, are lying in the plane of the screen. P and Q are
Yes.
lying in the plane of the screen. Okay.
Sir, any photo is there?
Yes, sir. So wait just a minute. I'll try to show a image. See, do you understand from this? Here, A and B are the two vectors. This is vector A. We have taken PQ, here they are A and B. And this is vector B. Okay. If I do cross product of these two things, A cross B, then to find the direction of A cross B, can you understand here how this hand is being bent? Fingers, these four fingers are pointing first towards vector A. Then they are bent towards vector B, like this, curled towards vector B. Then your hand will be like something, you are holding something, a wire or a thin rod, something. Then this is the direction of thumb, in which thumb is pointing, which will give you the direction of A cross B. Do you understand now?
Sir, so is it always 90 degrees?
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Does everyone understand this? How to apply
Yes.
right hand rule? Okay. Or you can look at this also. Oh, yeah, this is. Oh, this is not getting enlarged. Mm. Okay, can you see this? It is not getting enlarged. I hope it is. You can see it.
Sir.
A vector A is along this direction. Vector B is no. Vector A is along this direction. This is vector A. Vector B is along this direction. So place your fingers along vector A, curl them, bend them towards vector B like this. Then your thumb is pointing vertically upward. This is the direction of A cross B. This is the direction of A cross B. Okay. So here, in our example that we have taken, this is vector P. This is vector Q. Then what will be the direction of P cross U? P cross Q. What will be the direction of P cross Q?
The direction of the thumb.
90 degrees.
That's what. What is that direction? How is it pointing? Left, right, up, down, front,
Sir, up, sir.
out of the screen? No, it will not be up. I'm telling you, P and Q are in the plane of the screen.
Sir, then means sir.
Then P cross Q will be pointing out of the plane of the screen towards you.
Yes, sir.
Towards you.
Sir, in the Z direction, sir.
You can say Z direction. P cross Q is pointing towards you out of the plane of the screen, because I should put my fingers along the direction of P and bend them towards Q. Then my thumb will be pointing towards me, or it will be pointing towards you. Okay. If I do Q cross P, Q cross P, the rule says you should put fingers along the first vector, then bend them towards second vector. Now we want to do Q cross P. So Q is the first vector, P is the second vector. Place fingers along Q, bend them towards P. What is the direction of Q cross P? Left, right, top, down, out of the plane, into the plane.
Sir, are you saying something?
What is the direction of Q cross P?
Sir, it will be out of the screen in the Z direction.
Q cross P, Q cross P. P cross Q is out of the plane. Q cross P is?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Q
Same
cross P.
answer, commutative.
No, it's not commutative.
Okay, sir.
Into the plane, sir.
Into the plane. Yes, correct. Q cross P will be into the plane. P cross Q is out of the plane. Q cross P is into the plane. Or, okay, you do one thing.
We're going to do a couple more examples of finding.
Right. I will share this.
Vector cross product. Suppose that I give you these two vectors, A and B, which both lie in the plane of the, look, it's my hand, which both lie in the plane of the page, okay? So there are A and B, and you want to find the direction of A cross B. To find the magnitude, you would do A times B times the sine of the angle between them, but we just want to find the direction right now. And to do this, we're going to use the right-hand rule, but first we can use a little bit of logic. So first of all, logic says this: whatever the direction of A cross B is, which let's call that C, A cross B, we'll call that C, it has to be perpendicular to both A and B, or perpendicular to the plane of the page. Well, there are only two directions that could be, right? What that means is that C either must point straight out of the page, or must point straight into the page. And to figure out which one of those two directions it is, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put our fingers along A. So there are two ways to do that. You could either put your fingers along A this way, or you could put your fingers along A this way. And you have to do it in the way that will let you swing A down into B, like it was a little hinge. So if you try that, notice, if you do it this way, it's the wrong way, right? You'd have to swing all the way the long way around. If you want to just simply fold A into B, the way to do that is to put your fingers this way, then you can curl them down this way. Notice when you do that, your thumb is pointing into the page. So therefore the answer is that C is into the page. And actually, oh, I got marker on my wall. Actually, the way we represent that is that's represented into the page is represented by a little X with a circle around it. You're supposed to think of it like the tail feathers of an arrow. That's
Yes, was it clear?
Yes, sir.
Everyone should understand this. This is very
Yes, sir.
important.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
In that video, you saw A cross B, which was into the plane of the screen. If we do B cross A, what will be its direction?
Out of
this.
Out of the plane of the screen. Okay, here, direction of P cross Q in our example. Direction of P cross Q.
Out of the plane, sir.
Out of the plane. Direction of Q cross P.
Into the plane.
Into the plane. Okay, this is how you determine the direction of cross product. This is how you determine the direction of cross product. Very important. Very important. Okay. Now, right, let us continue this thing. So we have, what have we got? You have got the magnitude of vector product P cross Q is equal to PQ sin theta, and how to determine its direction by applying right hand thumb rule. Next, further, see this cross product is not commutative. It is not commutative because P cross Q is not equal to Q cross P, because they are pointing in the different directions. Even though their magnitudes are equal, might be same. Magnitudes might be same, but their directions are opposite. So if two vectors don't have same direction, they are not equal vectors. Therefore, P cross Q is not equal to Q cross P. P cross Q is not equal to Q cross P. Whereas P dot Q is equal to Q dot P, because that does not have any direction, only magnitude. That's why it is commutative. This is not commutative. Next, for unit vectors ijk, what will be their cross product? See, listen carefully. If I do I cross I vector cross I vector. Don't read this as I into I. It is I cross I. As per the formula, which is P vector cross Q vector is equal to magnitude of P vector, magnitude of Q vector into sine of angle between P and Q. If I apply that formula here, in place of P we have I, in place of Q also we have I. So here if I write magnitude of I, sine of angle between I and I, how much is it?
Sin theta.
What is theta? How much is theta? Angle between
Zero,
I
sir.
vector.
Yes, sir.
0.
Zero.
So magnitude of I vector is 1, magnitude of I vector is 1 into 0 is 0. So I cross I is 0, or in vector language you call it as null
Sir,
vector.
once can you go to previous, once can you scroll down? Yes, sir, done.
So I cross I is 0, or in vector language you call it as null vector. If you remember, we define null vector as a vector which has whose magnitude is 0 and direction is indeterminate. So this
Sir?
is one example where we can use that null vector to say that I cross I is a null vector. J cross J.
Zero, sir.
Zero, sir.
Magnitude of J, sine of
Zero, sir.
J
Again, zero.
is 0, 1 into 1 into 0, which is 0. K cross K.
Also zero, sir.
0, sir.
Okay. So cross product of two same vectors is 0. Right. The reason for this is, or you can also say this like, if two vectors are parallel, then their cross product is 0. If you compare this with dot product was 0 when two vectors were perpendicular. Cross product is 0 when two vectors are parallel. Next, I will do I cross J. Again from the formula, magnitude of J, sine of angle between I and J. How much is that angle?
90.
90 degree. I, J are perpendicular, 90 degree. Okay, magnitude of I is 1. Magnitude of J is 1.
1 into 9, sir. 90. 90, sir. Answer.
1.
Sine 90 is, sine 90 or 1? How much?
Sir, 1, sir.
Oh.
One only, sir.
So what is the answer?
So 1.
Wrong answer. Why?
Sir, it's equal to I or J.
1 is a scalar. It is only a number. It is not a vector. We are doing cross product. So your product must also be a vector. 1 is the magnitude of that vector product. What is the direction? What is the direction of I cross J? Right hand thumb rule. Put your fingers along x-axis, bend them towards y-axis. Your thumb is pointing towards?
Sir, out
First.
of the plane.
What is that direction?
Z axis.
K.
Z. Yes, sir.
K.
Because its magnitude is 1 and direction is towards z-axis, it is nothing but k vector, unit vector. So I cross j is equal to k. That is the point. Don't say 1. Now j cross k.
Sir, I.
I, sir.
Sir.
Right, sir.
J cross k is
I.
I vector. Okay. K cross I is
J.
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 K cross I is j. Okay. What is j cross I?
Minus.
J cross I is minus k. What is k
Minus
cross
I.
j?
Minus I.
What is I cross k?
Minus J.
Minus.
Minus j. Okay. So you can remember this like I j k. If you go in clockwise direction, you will get the product. I cross j is k. J cross k is I. K cross I is j. Like that, if you go in clockwise direction, you will get the just shortcut to remember. Or if you are clear with that concept, you don't need this. Okay, right. This is cross multiple vector product of unit vectors. Fine. Next, another thing. Suppose if vectors are given in component form, then how do you find cross product of them? If a vector p vector is given as pxi plus pyj plus pzk, and vector q is given as qxi plus qyj plus qzk, then p cross q is calculated or it is determined by doing or by finding the determinant of these two vectors. Determinant of vectors do you have any idea on matrices in maths?
No, sir.
No.
Okay, right, no problem. You will get it in the coming classes in mathematics. For now, we will take only that much as we need in physics. So the procedure, forget about determinant, all these things. What we do here is, you take these two vectors, pxi, pyj, pzk, qxi, qyj, qzk, and you write them like this in the form of a matrix. Matrix means rows and columns. Collection of rows and columns is a matrix. If you arrange something in rows and columns, then you call this arrangement as a matrix. So the matrix that we are forming here is like this: I, J, K, three things in first row. Then in second row, the coefficients of the first vector, only coefficients, not ijk's, px, py, pz. Then in the third row, coefficients of the second vector. Qx, Qy, Qz. This is a matrix. 3 by 3 matrix. 3 by 3 means 3 rows, 3 columns. Row 1, row 2, row 3. Column 1, column 2, column 3. So you have 3 rows and 3 columns in this matrix. Okay. Now, what we do is, the mathematical procedure that we do here is how and why you do this mathematical procedure. You will study this in detail in mathematics. So what we do now is, you take the, listen carefully, you take the first element of first row, which is this first element of first row, I, put it here, into, now you close the first row and first column. You close first row and first column. You don't see the first row and first column. Now what are left? These 4 things are left. Py, Pz, Qi, Qz are left. Now what we do is, you multiply first these 2 things, Py into Qz, and from that subtract this thing, Pz into Qy. I am writing here. I into Py Qz minus Pz Qy. Okay. Next, put minus j. Why minus j? You will get that in mathematics. Minus j. I is plus, j is minus. So minus j into. Now what you do? You take the second element of the first row, which is j, and you close the row and column containing that j. Close this row, close this column. You see only the px, qx, pz, qz. Now do the same thing. Cross multiply. So j into px, qz, this first, minus pz, qx, this. Okay. Next. Again you put plus k here. Plus k into. Now take k. Close the row and column containing that k. Close this row. Close this column. You see only px, py, qx, qy. So here multiply these 2 first. Px, qy minus these 2. Py, qz, qx. This is how we write the determinant of this matrix, and this determinant gives you the cross product. If you, there is nothing to to be explained or to be understood. It's just a procedure which you should remember, mathematical procedure. And why that procedure, how you get that procedure, you will get that in mathematics chapter matrices.
Okay, sir.
So if you don't understand it in the first time, after the class is over, you'll get the recording of the class. You'll listen to it once again. It's just the procedure which you should remember step by step. That's all. Take the 2 vectors, write them in the form of a matrix, 3 by 3 matrix. First row will be ijk. Second row will be the coefficients of first vector. Third row will be the coefficients of second vector. Then take the first element in first row, I. Whatever element you are selecting, you should close the column and row containing that element. Then you will be left out with 4 other elements. Cross multiply them and subtract.
Sir, I have a doubt. So in it, I into py into qz is there, sir? Can we write qz into py also, sir?
Yes, you can write.
Okay, sir.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, here they wrote vector p into vector q, so you wrote vector p first and down you wrote vector q.
Yes.
So when vector q into vector p comes, you will write we should write.
You should write q, coefficients of q first, then coefficients of p next.
Okay, sir. Sir, and why you did minus J, sir?
That's what I told. Maths.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Hmm.
Sir, if this is the process when I, J, K are there, no? If only I and J are there, then
In place of K, put 0.
okay, sir.
Sir, can I ask my previous class doubt?
No, we will do one example on this so that you
Okay.
get more clarity. This is important. So all of you do this thing. Tell me quickly. You have 2 minutes time. I am giving a
Sir,
vector P like
once can you
2I
scroll up?
minus J plus K and vector Q as minus 3I plus 2J plus 4K. Find P cross Q. Fast. You must be careful in that multiplication and subtraction with minus sign. That need not be told. Yeah, meanwhile, what is your doubt?
Yes, sir.
Someone want to yes.
Sir, for the dot product, P dot Q in equals to magnitude of P into magnitude of Q into cos theta, sir.
Yes.
Sir, if they give, suppose any two and 5 Newton and 6 Newton, and they told that find the angle between them, sir. How can we do that?
They must be given in vector form. 5 Newton and 6 Newton are only magnitudes.
Okay, sir. 5 Newton.
Unless you have directions, you cannot perform this scalar product. Scalar product is done on vectors, right?
Sir,
5
not
Newton, 6
scalar
Newton are
products.
not.
How to find the angle, sir?
Without given directions, you cannot find angle. 5 Newton and 6 Newton can be in infinite possible directions. You should tell what is the direction of 5 Newton and what is the direction of 6 Newton. Then you can find angle between them.
Sir, could you tell how
If
then
I,
we can find, sir?
if I that information must be given in the question. If I ask you to find angle between east direction and north direction, you can find it because you know that they are perpendicular to each other. If I ask you to find the angle between east direction and northeast direction, you can say that it is 45 degrees because you know the directions. If I ask you to find the angle between this direction and that direction, this can be anything, that can be anything.
Okay, sir.
Yes, what is the answer for this?
Sir, 1 minute, sir, we are doing.
Sir, minus 6I minus 5J plus 1K.
Okay, let us see. So it
Sir,
is I into
sir,
Minus 6
sir, I got minus 6I minus 11J 0K, sir.
okay, let
Same,
us see.
sir.
Let us see.
Sir, can you scroll down?
I into minus 4 minus 2 minus j into
Sir, 8 plus 3.
this minus this 8 minus of minus plus 3 plus k into
Sir, why minus 4 minus 2, sir?
plus k into check according to the mathematical rules plus minus minus plus minus minus plus k into
Sir,
this
4 minus 3.
minus this 4 minus 3. So which is minus 6i minus 11j plus k. This is the answer that you should get. Okay, this is vector cross product. Almost this is the last topic in vectors, and if possible, we'll do some questions in our next class so that we can wind up this chapter vectors. It has taken quite a long time. We should have completed this in some 4 or 5 classes. It has taken more. Okay, no problem. But the point is, you should be conceptually strong because this vectors is it will be there with you throughout your physics. Right. So we'll continue in the next class and see you.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir. Good night, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Students, now actually it is English class na? So on Wednesday. So today is Wednesday. By mistake, I kept